American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and I'm in touch until you be in touch. An afternoon drive time and all the time. You just go ahead and follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, D-R-N-I-I-Q. And there I am fresh for you to follow. Also, if you haven't already, download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or just tell Alexa, because we're fancy like that. Tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580 and watch what she does. Or they do. I stand corrected. Last but not least, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never miss an episode. Now, if you haven't already, go ahead and visit KBLA1580.com. Go ahead and visit our website and feast your eyes on KBLA 1580's Health and Wellness Hub. It is only because we know that your health is our priority. And we're here to make sure that you have the knowledge, resources, and tools that you need to live your best life. And so if you're looking for a place where you can get reliable, accessible health information tailored to our community's unique needs, if you're looking for a place you can go for mental and physical wellness resources, for real life balance and more, go ahead and visit KBLA1580.com's website and check out our new Health and Wellness Hub. Your health matters to us. And I don't need to tell you all that health is wealth. All right. And so let's be about that. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off, speaking of health, RFK Jr.'s new MAHA report gives a roadmap to improving kids' health, but stops short of action. MAHA, as in Make America Healthy Again, not to be confused with malarkey. Yeah, a long-awaited follow-up to Trump's Make America Healthy Again report. aims to outline steps to improve kids' health, calling for better nutrition and more exercise and a review of vaccines and drugs, but is light on specifics and stops short of cracking down on pesticides and ultra-processed foods. The second installment of the report is meant to build on the White House's efforts to address what they call the sickest generation in American history. Yeah, you heard it right. The White House and Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s initial assessment in May referred to children as the sickest generation in American history. Today's report intended to serve as a roadmap for tackling childhood chronic disease. In many cases, it presents actions the administration has already taken as new ideas. The report's core focus boils down to four key areas: investing in more research, policy reform, including a new vaccine framework, raising public awareness of health concerns that affect kids, and partnering with the private sector. It makes no mention of food insecurity or gun violence, two key threats to children's health. In other news, OpenAI installs parental controls following a California teen's death. The LA Times is reporting that just weeks after a Rancho Santa Margarita family sued over ChatGPT's role in their teenager's death, OpenAI has announced that parental controls are coming to the company's generative artificial intelligence model within the month. The company said in a recent blog post that parents will be able to link teens' accounts to their own, disable features like memory and chat history, and receive notifications if that model detects a moment of acute distress. The planned changes also follow a lawsuit filed late last month by the family of Adam Rain, a 16-year-old who died by suicide in April. After Adam's death, his parents discovered his months-long dialogue with ChatGPT, which began with simple homework questions and morphed into a deep, intimate conversation in which the teenager discussed at length his mental health struggles and suicide plans. While some AI researchers and suicide prevention experts commended OpenAI's willingness to alter the model to prevent further tragedies, they also said that it's impossible to know if any tweak will sufficiently do so. And Seen and Heard. Seen and Heard. It examines Black TV history, shining a light on its successes and struggles. The LA Times is also reporting that Issa Rae of Insecure fame is an executive producer of, and a major figure, might I add, in a new two-part documentary, Seen and Heard, the history of Black television, premiering today on HBO and streaming on HBO Max, presented as a film by Giselle Bailey with a directed by credit shared with Phil Bertelsen. It's not a comprehensive accounting. Any viewer who's watched much TV over the medium's decade might have opinion on what's missing, but what's in this series is always interesting. It's elegantly produced. It's sometimes exciting and oftentimes moving. Young viewers whose historical and cultural interests might extend no further than their own births may have their eyes open. But even we who remember a time before Julia may learn a thing or two. And so check it out. Seen and Heard. Again, you can find it on HBO and streaming on HBO Max. We got to know this history. You know, anybody who's out there creating content, thinking that they are ahead of the curve and nobody's ever done it like them, you may want to check this out and check your facts. When we come forward, I'm delighted to welcome back to the show Desiree Cormier-Smith. Desiree Cormier-Smith, she's the co-founder of the Alliance for Justice and Diplomacy. And there are two big headlines that are trending today that I want her to weigh in on, both involving the Supreme Court. See, in case you missed it, the Supreme Court, they temporarily approved Trump's block on congressionally approved foreign aid. You know what they also did? They effectively legalized racial profiling of immigrants. It's not good. This is a recipe for a lot of despair. It's a recipe for a lot of struggle. We want to be clear-eyed about this, but we also want to be clear about where we can tap in and fight back. I'm delighted to welcome Desiree Cormier-Smith. When we come forward, you are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and it's great being in LA live with all y'all in afternoon drive time alongside Desiree Cormier-Smith. She's the co-founder of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. She's also the former special representative for racial justice at the U.S. Department of State. Desiree, you're the perfect person to talk to about this headline that came out this afternoon. The Supreme Court temporarily approving Trump's block on congressionally approved foreign aid. For folks who are less familiar, the Trump administration doesn't have to take immediate steps to spend billions of dollars in foreign assistance approved by Congress. That's what Chief Justice John Roberts, that's what he said today in a preliminary ruling that gave the full court more time to consider the legal issue in the case. The Justice Department had asked the High Court to pause a judge's order that the administration release the foreign aid. That included about $11 billion that needed to be committed by the end of September before those funds expire. Right. So, Desiree, you have been there right on the front lines. Yeah. You understand the programs that this money funds. You understand what these funds mean or have meant historically to our partners around the world. Talk to us about how this ruling further hinders, further hampers.
Yeah.
Any semblance of possibility that the United States may not completely desert our partners around the world.
I mean, first, it's good to be back. It's been a while. And unfortunately, as expected, there's just so much to talk about. And it can feel overwhelming because they are doing so much and again, in such a cruel manner. This preliminary sort of hearing or ruling by the Chief Justice is just bizarre because and again, I'm not a lawyer, so all the lawyers listening, forgive me if I use the wrong terminology, but I'm going to try to explain it to a lay person like myself. This is how I understand it. The Chief Justice essentially said that he's he's putting a pause on this that will allow the administration to continue to hold the money, the millions, billions of dollars that they're holding in foreign assistance until another court hears it. Here's the problem with that. That money was for fiscal year 2025, which for the U.S. government ends in September 30th. So it's highly unlikely that another court will be able to hear the case, hear both sides of the case, make a ruling, and then it will be even those two steps. That's highly unlikely for that to happen before September 30th. So essentially, the Chief Justice basically gave this administration a pass to not spend the money that Congress had appropriated. This is so problematic for a couple of reasons, and I am really disappointed in Congress for not being in an uproar over this, right? Mm-hmm. Congress is supposed to have the power of the purse. And people, let us not forget, they actually approved this budget that this administration is freezing just in March. So this White House signed off on this budget.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just this kind of trickery and nonsense that continues to undermine the credibility of the United States government and to countries around the world, to civil society around the world. And I think this is doubly devastating to them because for a lot of groups, they thought that they had survived the freeze, right? They were subjected to some kind of review by the State Department to make sure that they weren't doing quote unquote woke work, or that they weren't advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we can talk about more later, which is ridiculous to even try and force that upon the world, which is by definition diverse, right? Mm-hmm. So these were organizations and partners that I think probably had a little bit of confidence that even if the money wouldn't be renewed next year, they would at least have the funds to the end of this fiscal year.
Yeah. And I think this sort of pours gasoline on the fire right now. The question is, what will Democrats do at the end of this month? That continuing resolution to fund government, it ends the end of this month. And there are some serious questions as to whether or not Democrats should vote to fund this government that is being weaponized against the people might I add, not just the people of the United States, but folks we used to call our friends in other parts of the world, right? So Democrats have a very big decision to make at the end of this month. But let's stay on Capitol Hill for a second. The U.S. Supreme Court this week effectively legalized racial profiling. Effectively legalized racial profiling. The same Supreme Court that said you can't consider race in admissions.
That part.
Harvard.
That part.
Other universities.
That part.
That's it. Universities scrambling and cleaning up their requirements for admission. But then the very same U.S. Supreme Court says that it's okay to consider race as a factor in the work of ICE. And when it comes to federal law enforcement, rounding people up and disappearing people. That's wild. That's wild.
There's no other way to describe it. It is wild.
And this is the kind of stuff, like, really, if we heard a story like this coming from any other part of the world, we would say that things are probably unstable there. They may be on the cusp of something that's not going to end so well, right?
Yeah.
This is happening right here in the United States. Is the U.S. Supreme Court, are they doing Donald Trump's dirty work?
I'm a foreign policy wonk, so I'm not going to, I'm going to try and give you my opinion as if this were happening in another country. And I will say that if, as a diplomat, I was observing this in another country, United-stan, right? Let's just call it United-stan. I think the analysis that I and my colleagues would be sharing with each other and with other policymakers is that it seems like the division of power, as articulated by the Constitution, of these three branches of government that are supposed to be co-equal, no longer seem to be co-equal. It would seem to an observer that two of the branches, the legislative branch, the Congress, and the judicial branch, almost seem to be giving up their power willingly to the executive branch. And that, if I were looking at another country, United-stan, I would say, well, that seems to be perhaps in violation of their constitution, right? And what many are calling could lead to a constitutional crisis. Now, what does that mean, though, if the other two branches don't mind? I think that is the gray area that we're in right now. It's unclear because as long as their party is doing this executive overreach, it seems like the party in power right now is very happy to willingly give up some of their constitutional power. Now, if things were to change in the midterm election and another party takes power in the legislative branch, would the judicial branch still be willing to give up its power to the executive? Would the executive still try or still feel as comfortable as it does to do this overreach? I don't know.
Yeah. In our remaining minutes with you, Desiree, I want to give you an opportunity to share with folks how they can tap into some of the work that you're leading at the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. How can folks tap into some of the work that's afoot here at home and abroad that is, pushing back against the aims of this administration?
Yeah, please check out our website, www.theallianceforDiplomacyandjustice.org. We are an all-women founded and led nonprofit advocacy organization. All of us served this country proudly in government at the State Department as senior diplomats focused on human rights and justice issues. And when we saw what was happening, how our human rights policy, human rights infrastructure were all under attack, we couldn't just be silent about it. So we are here to really emphasize that human rights and foreign policy matter, right? We are a stronger, safer nation when we actually stand up for the values that we espouse, that all people are created equal and all people should be treated with dignity and respect. And when we walk away from that, we actually are making the world and ourselves a more dangerous place. So please check us out. Visit our website. Would love to hear from you. Follow us. Check us out in our media mentions. And hopefully, we also have a LinkedIn page. So check us out on LinkedIn, the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice on LinkedIn. And, eventually, hopefully we'll start being able to do like newsletters and regular updates. We're just getting started, but there's so much to do. And unfortunately, I don't think that this administration is going to let up. So I think we're going to be very busy. But I just want everyone to realize that there's a lot going on in the foreign policy space, a lot being done in our names as Americans around the world that should concern all of us. So I know there's a lot going on domestically, but we can't lose sight of the foreign policy, because foreign policy is just an extension of the domestic policy.
That's right. Our thanks to our friend Desiree Cormier Smith. She is the co-founder of the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. Again, you can go to www.theallianceforDiplomacyandJustice.org to really dig into the work that she is leading on the front lines. Our thanks to you, Desiree.
Thank you.
When we come forward, we are going to be in conversation with Terrence Woodbury. He's the co-founder of Hit Strategies. And there are some headlines that are trending that you only want to get a read on from a public opinion researcher, one of the most sought out public opinion researchers that is caping for Black folks, that is caping for millennial folk, and has an expert analysis you don't want to miss, particularly when it comes to the political landscape that's shifting. You heard that LA Mayor Karen Bass endorsed former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa today. That and more when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 15.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Nearly 50,000 people now have cancer linked to the 9/11 attacks, a 140% jump in 5 years, according to the World Trade Center Health Program.
The toxins that we were breathing in, the work that we did down there, both physically and emotionally, it took a toll.
Bill Keegan, a Ground Zero recovery supervisor battling cancer himself, now leads Heart 9/11, a group of retired first responders who help at disasters nationwide. Black New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell has surrendered her passport after pleading not guilty to federal fraud and conspiracy charges tied to an alleged affair with her former security chief, who's also facing charges. And Maryland's Black Attorney General Anthony Brown and 20 other attorneys general secured a court order blocking Trump administration cuts to health, education, and social services for low-income families. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Saving money on tires and auto repair services is a big deal. That's why Big O offers a low price guarantee on tires with big deals like this. Now buy 3 select tires, get the 4th tire free with paid installation during our September to Remember. Now at Big O Tires.
Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said the league will need clear evidence that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer violated salary cap rules before any decision is made on whether to punish Ballmer. The league is investigating Ballmer for a $28 million endorsement deal Kawhi Leonard had with a company that Ballmer invested in. A law firm has been hired by the NBA to investigate the allegations. The LA Sparks wrap up their season tonight against the Las Vegas Aces at Crypto.com. The Sparks can avoid a losing record in the WNBA for the first time in 5 years with a win tonight. The NFL announced Thursday morning that Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson will not be fined for shoving a Buffalo Bills fan during Sunday night's game in Buffalo. Jackson pushed the fan after the fan hit Baltimore wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins in the head while Hopkins was wearing his helmet. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and it's always so much more fun when your friends come to join you on air. Terrence Woodbury, who is the co-founder and partner over at HIT Strategies. They're one of the fastest growing polling and public opinion research firms in the country, specializing in millennials, Black and brown folks, and beyond. And we're just delighted to have you here with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Doctor. It's always fun when it's with friends.
It's always it's always fun with friends. That is true. That is true. Well, listen, I'm so glad that you're here because there are so many political headlines that are swirling just this day alone, and you're always able to bring some really important insights to bear to separate the facts from the fiction. A lot shaping the political landscape today, particularly here in California, where LA Mayor Karen Bass has endorsed former LA Mayor, former Assembly Speaker Antonio Villaraigosa for Mayor of Los Angeles. Help me understand how this endorsement may help or hurt Mayor Bass, who is in a fight for her own reelection.
Yeah, California voters have been dealing with a onslaught of kind of traumatic events, from being invaded and occupied by the federal government, wildfires, and ongoing crises with homelessness and poverty that is, striking places like LA and San Francisco more harder than they are anywhere else in the country. And so I am interested to see how she positions this endorsement. I believe that now that the vice president has announced that she would not be seeking the gubernatorial election in California, that this race is wide open. I expect several candidates to enter this race. And I suspect that the current mayor of Los Angeles endorsing the former mayor of Los Angeles will not be the biggest surprise to many people. But I'm curious to see how it's going to be able to help how the coattails of that will help her or him.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that at least we've seen in a statement put out by Mayor Bass, saying that she's known Antonio and worked with him her entire adult life, saying that she has seen up close the impact that he's made, not just on our city, but for our entire state, and also mentioned that our country's at a crossroads, and it's vital that our state have a leader who will lead California into the future. I just want to zoom in on that piece of leading California into the future. You know better than most that there are a number of voters out there that are sort of tired of the same old names, the same old, politicians hopping from office to office. So many young Democrats and independent voters sort of, looking for a changing of the guard, a passing of the torch. Does this endorsement from Mayor Bass of former Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, does it fall short of that?
We are in a change electorate, that voters are seeking something different, seeking something new, seeking something innovative. And, one thing that I've been in trying to portray to my Democratic colleagues and clients that we work with is that voters are very angry right now. They went from despair to fear to outrage. And they're not just outraged with Donald Trump. They're not just outraged with Republicans. They're outraged with the Democrats that they've been voting for over and over, that they do not believe have changed their material conditions. Now, I think that, that Democrats have been doing great work in places like Los Angeles, California, and even under the Biden-Harris administration. But passing good policies does not always equal good politics. And so it is incumbent upon Democrats to demonstrate that they not only have the stamina to combat, to fight back, and to resist against the federal government, but being the opposition party, being the alternative requires presenting an alternative, presenting a different way forward, not just saying, no, we don't want what the White House is doing. Yes, we want to resist to what Donald Trump is imposing, but that we also have an alternative. I don't think that the voters of California are that frustrated with the direction of the state. They are. We know that Gavin Newsom has a pretty high approval rating, but we also know that those things aren't transferable. He can't transfer his approval rating to Antonio the same way Karen Bass can't transfer her voters to Antonio. And so he's still going to have to make a case to the people of California. And frankly, the governor of California is a national figure. And so he's going to be making that case to the country as well.
As much as we're here talking about the latest political headline with Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles endorsing former mayor of LA, Antonio Villaraigosa, for governor of California, there are other candidates in the race. Former Representative Katie Porter of Irvine, the former U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra, the former State Senate Pro Tem Tony Adkins, and there's even a brother in the race, State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tony Thurmond in the race. But don't play small. The Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco and conservative commentator Steve Hilton. To a lot of folks, it looks like there's not a clear front runner. Should that make California voters, should that make Democrats across the country a little nervous, given how elite the role of governor of California is in the Democratic Party?
I mean, this is why we saw the vice president being so heavily lobbied to jump into this race, because I believe that states and governors are the last line of resistance, are the last line of defense against a arguably fascist federal government. And a state like California plays an outsized role in resisting. We've seen Governor Newsom embrace that role as the leader of the resistance. I'm in focus groups almost every night, doctor, and I ask Democratic voters every night, who is fighting for you? Across the country, I ask this question. And Gavin Newsom is one of the few names that we hear often mentioned. And so I do think the country is looking for that type of leadership in California, but the country isn't voting for the governor of California. Only the voters of California are. And for folks that are not tuning in from Los Angeles or from California, that may not know that California has what they call a jungle primary, a top two primary. That means that whoever the top two vote getters are, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, advance to a runoff. Because of the dynamics of the race, where there are several qualified, well-funded Democrats, I suspect that there will be a Republican that will likely make it into a runoff. And so all of these qualified Democrats are all running for one spot. I run against Katie Porter. I was a pollster for Mayor Barbara Lee when she was running for U.S. Senate in California. I ran against Katie Porter, and while she was not successful in that race, she is a formidable candidate. I suspect that she will rise to front runner status. I think it's far too early to predict who will win, but Katie Porter will be one of the front runners, and we'll see if Mayor Karen Bass's endorsement can help propel former Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa into that front runner status as well.
I just want to double click on your mention of the high likelihood that a Republican may very well make it into the top two in the California jungle primary. Keep in mind that President Trump is sitting on nearly $1 billion in campaign funds. And he has pledged to use all of it to not just protect Republicans that are loyal to him, but to really sort of run the board across the country. And so Democrats, don't underestimate that.
And one thing I would add to that can't go unmentioned in this moment of California politics is the California ballot measure for redistricting that is on the ballot on November 4th in just under 90 days. That Donald Trump is going to land Air Force One in California to protest against redistricting. He and the Republicans that spend in this race are going to use this opportunity not just to defeat redistricting in California, but to define the body politic of California, to define Governor Newsom as tyrannical, as out of step with the voters of California. And so the gubernatorial race, while it starts in earnest with these types of endorsements from Mayor Karen Bass, it also starts with about $100 million that's about to be spent on a redistricting ballot measure in the next 90 days.
Speaking of Donald Trump, The Guardian is reporting that Democrats are needling Trump over the Epstein birthday book letter that he denied existed. House Democrats, they have needled Trump and Republicans yesterday after they obtained and released a copy of a birthday scrapbook for Jeffrey Epstein, which included vulgar and a sexual letter. Trump has denied sending the convicted sex offender. Are Democrats wise to needle the president on all the issues related to Epstein, or are Democrats putting a bit too much on Epstein, an issue that may not appeal to the slice of voters that they need to show up not just this November, but next November en masse?
Well, look, first, I think it is important to note that it is incumbent on Democrats to seek justice for the victims of Epstein, and that is not only the morally right thing to do and the ethically right thing to do. I believe that it's also politically expedient to continue to talk about Donald Trump's potential involvement in trafficking allegations, but most important, in his current involvement in covering it up. This is a cover-up facilitated by the federal government, by the director of the Justice Department, by intelligence agencies that have information that the American public is entitled to. And look, it is politically expedient to sometimes use your opponent's weapons against them. One thing that Donald Trump has weaponized more than anyone that I've ever seen in politics is conspiracy theory. He's weaponized them against his own party, against his own, some current members of his own cabinet. And, Malcolm X used to say, sometimes the chickens come home to roost. And so, the conspiracy theorists that have undergirded, that have been the foundation of the MAGA movement, now have questions about their fearless leader. They have questions about his involvement, and more importantly, they have questions about his cover-up. And I think it is incumbent upon Democrats to continue to raise those questions, not only because the American public deserve answers, but because any opportunity that we have to break his dominance of the media narrative, we have to seize those opportunities.
And this being a tremendous opportunity, the White House and Republican allies, they have continued to deny that this letter is genuine, but several news organizations compared Trump's signature on the Epstein letter with other Trump signatures and found it to be similar to known Trump signatures. Is this the way to go about it? Is this the way to sort of turn the lights on and expose the lies? Is to take the very thing that the president and Republicans have said time and time and time again isn't true and doesn't exist, and then make it public? Is this the way to hold Donald Trump accountable in this era?
I think that's exactly right. I think transparency is one of our greatest tools and weapons right now, that we have to shine light on the darkness. And Donald Trump and Attorney General Bundy, they want to keep Epstein's records, files of those who participated and those who are implicated. They want to keep that in the dark. And I do think that Democrats have to continue to shine light there. And frankly, if I talk about, the political expedience of it, keep dripping it out slowly. Don't roll it all at once. Here comes the birthday card this week. Here comes the email next week. Because I am reminded of a 2016 election where all I heard was her damn emails. And so I am just fine continuing to talk about Donald Trump's Epstein connection and to continue to drip out as much information as they can make public.
That brings me to some serious questions around establishment Democrats and leadership in the House and the Senate. Are they doing enough to meet the moment right now? There are a lot of folks that are uncomfortable with the relationship between House Democratic leaders and certain special interests like AIPAC, for example. A lot of folks out there are uncomfortable with the fact that House and Senate leadership hasn't really come out and endorsed Moran Zamdani for New York mayor, somebody who has won the Democratic nomination through a very complicated process. What's the value of getting the Democratic nomination if the Democratic establishment is running from endorsing you?
I have been imploring Democratic leadership in Washington to not just be the minority party, but to be the opposition party. Minority party waits until they become the majority. They wait to get 3 more seats. They wait to get 50+1 votes in the Senate. Opposition parties have to do more than that. I've had the opportunity to work in parliamentary governments around the world. And there is always, in every parliamentary government, an opposition party that stands up a shadow government. So there's a shadow minister of education to tell us whatever the hell Secretary WWE is doing over there, a shadow attorney general to tell us what Attorney General Bundy is hiding from us, a shadow secretary of state to inform the public about how Secretary Rubio is undermining our diplomatic relationships on the world stage, how he is compromising our global position. And most important, what that shadow government does is sheds light on the dark areas that the Trump administration doesn't want us to see, but it begins to present an alternative. Here's what we would be doing as Secretary of State. Here's what we would be doing as Secretary of Education. I've implored Democrats in Washington to take this approach because that is not my opinion, doctor. That is what the voters that I talk to every day are demanding. They not only want to see us fight back, they want to see our plan. What the hell are you going to do if we give you this gavel, if we give you this chamber? And that is, I think that's what campaigns are for, but we have an opportunity to start that now and not, during the election season next year.
I always like to say, what's the purpose of power if we don't use it? No doubt that President Trump and Republicans are using every ounce of power that they have. When we come forward, I want to move to Georgia, where there are a few headlines that are popping up in Georgia related to the Hyundai battery factory raid. Remember that? And also, it takes a proud HBCU alum to decode what this Trump era might mean for Black students who are flocking to HBCU. And that was not coordinated. For the people who are streaming, he's wearing his Morehouse College hat proudly. More with Terrence Woodbury, co-founder of Pitt Strategies, one of our nation's foremost political and public opinion research firms. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 15.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
So many things, big and little, make you uniquely you. Your hobbies, dreams, career, family, and more. Addiction to drugs, including opioids and stimulants, can strip these away from you. Recover your life. Choose treatment for drug addiction and get back to what matters most. Find a provider and proven treatment option that's right for you at ChooseChangeCA.org. Recover you.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at KBLA1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to KBLA1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and I hope you've enjoyed this hour talking to folks like Desiree Cormier-Smith over at the Alliance for Justice and Diplomacy. You just heard my conversation with Terrence Woodbury, the co-founder of HIT Strategies, one of the nation's leading political and public opinion research firms. The conversation with Terrence was so rich that clearly we spread it across both hour one and hour two of the show. And so if you wanted to tap in and listen to Terrence's analysis about the state of Georgia, and why what's happening in Georgia matters, why we should be attentive from a workers' rights perspective, and also in terms of protecting and preserving the legacy of our HBCUs. You can catch that in hour one of today's show. But my thanks to all of our guests that joined us today. In hour one, I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation with one of the best and brightest scholars on the issue of land loss, Mara Cherkasky. Her scholarship on the Edmund Scott family in Washington, D.C. and the loss of so many homes to eminent domain is widely respected. And we here at A More Perfect Union appreciate each and every one of them. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the folks that help us to produce A More Perfect Union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Brother Andy, our show producers, Faraji and Art and Journey, and of course, each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. And Morris Phillips, thank you, brother. Thank you for always showing up. You're right. Democrats need to do more than just saying they aren't Trump in order to win. And I appreciate your perspective on Katie Porter. Morris Phillips says that he likes Katie Porter. He remembers her interview with Jamie Dimon. We appreciate all your feedback. Keep it coming. Remember, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. All four suspects are in custody after Black Florida State University linebacker Ethan Pritchard was shot in Havana, Florida.
Ethan was not, I say not, doing anything wrong in that area.
Sheriff Morris Young says Pritchard